Hello everyone and welcome to my review of this Patek 5960G, which I've had for a few weeks. Before we get started, please note that I've added chapters to this video and all future ones going forwards, so you can skip to the section you most want to hear about. Let's jump into it. The Patek 5960G is the last watch of the 5960 collection, which was originally launched in 2006 with the Platinum version. As far as modern Pateks go, the 5960 is quite significant, as it was the brand's first annual calendar chronograph. To my knowledge, it's also the first watch to use Patek's first in-house automatic chronograph movement. And finally, the clean dial layout of having 3 separate calendar windows started from the 5960 and has since carried on to references like the 5205 and successor 5905. The 5960G came out in 2017 and has a nice blend of sporty and vintage touches. For example, the dial is a very subtle dark blue, which is complemented by a striking set of red chronograph hands. I also really enjoy the white gold elements. The facets and polishing on these is superb, allowing the dial to shine. On the whole, everything comes together remarkably well in a tasteful and clean way. Despite having multiple complications, the dial on the 5960G is still very spacious and easy on the eyes. As with some Pateks, the case has been designed to mask the thickness of the watch. The 5960G measures 40.5 mm in diameter and 13.5 mm in height on paper, which makes it quite a chunky watch in theory. Yet, similar to watches like the 5270P, this case hides thickness by having a rather thin case band and adding substance both over and under. The result is that on the wrist, the 5960 doesn't feel nearly as thick as the 13.5 mm height suggests. While we're talking about the case, I also want to add that the pushers on this watch are beautiful. The pump pushers here are actually decorated with a gear shape pattern reminiscent of that on some vintage Pateks. Other than looking good and wearing well, I also find that the 5960 has quite a useful set of complications. Aside from the obvious annual calendar and chronograph, we also have a day-night indicator and power reserve. For someone that often rotates between watches, this is awesome. The day-night indicator helps with setting the watch, while the power reserve on the dial gives me a good reminder of when I might need to wind it or wear it. Having spent a lot of time with the manual winding 5270P, I also really appreciate the simple fact that this calendar is automatic. Before we end this video, I want to quickly talk about my criticisms of the 5960G. And unlike many Pateks, I actually have quite a few with this one. Starting with the dial, I've never been a big fan of the triple calendar window style, as the way the font sits inside always looks cramped. On a similar vein, the mixture of different typographies on this watch is kind of weird. Not only does the chronograph seem to have 2 different fonts for minutes and hours, but it also doesn't match the logo or the calendar window typography. Finally, the slight dome of the crystal adds a lot of flecto to the watch, making it hard to admire the beautiful shade of blue. From a functional standpoint, the pushers also feel overly stiff and bad to press. I'm pretty sure this is an issue with the caliber, as I've had the same feeling with other watches that house it. Overall, the 5960G is an important modern Patek that looks good and wears well. Yet, it's one of those watches that is 90% there, and could be immensely improved with a few minute changes in my eyes. Thank you for watching this video. There's more interesting stuff coming up, so if you like what you saw, please consider liking the video and subscribing. The support means a lot to me. Thank you.